If you've ever settled for canned cinnamon rolls, you know the disappointment of dry dough and thin, sugary glaze. But a real bakery tier roll with thick, velvety frosting is a completely different experience. Getting this result at home comes down to mastering three distinct phases: building a properly structured dough, managing the proofing stages, and applying a specific double frosting finishing technique. You don't need exotic ingredients to do this. You just need the basics: flour, sugar, yeast, milk, an egg, cinnamon, butter, cream cheese, and a little vanilla and salt. Before you start mixing anything, there is one absolute rule you must follow. Your butter and your cream cheese must be set out on the counter until they reach room temperature. Cold fats are stiff and resist blending. If you try to mix cold cream cheese, the fats won't break apart evenly, leaving you with an irreversibly clumpy, lumpy frosting that won't spread smoothly across your baked rolls. Step 1 is activating the yeast. Warm your milk so it registers precisely between 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Any hotter and you risk killing the yeast. Any colder and it won't wake up. Stir the yeast into the warm milk and let it rest. After about 5 minutes, you should see a foamy, frothy layer form on the surface. That tells you the yeast is alive and ready to work. Next, build the base of your dough by whisking the egg, melted butter, sugar, and salt directly into the yeast mixture. Never scoop flour directly out of the bag. Plunging a cup tightly packs the grains, guaranteeing a dense dough. Instead, fluff the flour, gently spoon it into your measuring cup, and sweep off the excess. Getting the exact right volume of flour keeps the dough soft and highly hydrated. Mastering this single technique is what separates a light, cloud-like roll from a dry, dense failure. Once your correctly measured flour is mixed in, attach your dough hook. Run the mixer on low speed for 10 minutes to properly develop the gluten network. You'll know the dough is perfectly kneaded when it becomes smooth, tacky, and pulls completely clean from the metal sides of the bowl. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap or a damp towel and set it in a warm, draft-free spot for its first proof. Over the next hour, give the yeast time to feed on the sugars. You are looking for the dough to visibly double its original volume. As the yeast expands, it builds a strong internal network of microscopic air pockets. This architectural support allows the dough to hold up the heavy cinnamon sugar filling we will add. Now for the fun part. Punch the dough down to release the gas, turn it out onto a floured surface, and roll it out into a precise 17 by 10 inch rectangle. Take that room temperature butter you set out earlier and smear a thin, even layer across the entire rectangle, going from edge to edge. Over that butter, spread a heavy, uniform layer of your brown sugar and cinnamon mixture. Pat it down slightly so the sugar grips the fat. Starting from one of the long edges, carefully roll the dough upward. Keep the tension tight as you go, forming a uniform, solid log. To cut the log into 16 equal pieces, grab a piece of unflavored dental floss. Slide it under the dough, cross the ends over the top, and pull horizontally. A traditional knife pushes down and pinches the dough together. The horizontal pull of the floss slices cleanly through without crushing the internal layers, ensuring the spiral remains completely open, so the pastry expands upward in the oven instead of mushrooming outward. Place your cut pieces into a buttered baking pan, cover them up, and let them rest for a second proof. After about 30 minutes, they should look noticeably puffy. Move the pan into an oven preheated to 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Let them bake for roughly 20 minutes. Check them as the timer winds down. You are looking for a light golden brown coloration forming evenly across the crowns of the rolls. Letting the rolls puff up prior to baking ensures the heat can penetrate all the way through the dough. Combining this second rise with a controlled 360-degree oven prevents the dense, underbaked raw centers that frequently ruin homemade batches. While the rolls bake, prepare the frosting. Combine your perfectly room temperature butter and cream cheese, beating them together until smooth and completely integrated. Add the powdered sugar, vanilla, and salt. Run the mixer for 3 full minutes to whip maximum air into the fats, giving the frosting a light, highly spreadable texture. Most recipes have you wait for the rolls to cool completely before icing them. Instead, we're going to use the double frosting technique, which starts the moment the pan leaves the oven. Take about a quarter of your whipped frosting and spread it directly over the hot rolls, allowing the heat to immediately melt the icing deep inside all the nooks and crannies. This baking science infographic outlines exactly what is happening here. When the hot pastry meets the cool icing, heat transfer occurs. This causes a rapid physical change, turning the aerated frosting into a thin liquid glaze. Now let the rolls cool for about 15 minutes. Once the residual heat has tapered off, take the remaining 3/4 of your frosting and smear it evenly across the top. That first melted layer coats the interior of the dough, sealing in moisture and protecting the roll from staling. The second, cooler layer stays thick, giving you that beautiful, rich crown of frosting you expect from a high-end bakery.